Alright, let's dive into something that's been bubbling under the surface in the Aussie housing market, and trust me, it's more fascinating than it sounds. So, here's the deal. Westpac, one of Australia's big banks, just dropped some numbers that are raising eyebrows. Apparently, Aussies' interest in their mortgage offerings is cooling off, and it's not just a small dip, it's a full-on trend shift. But what's really going on here? Let's break it down. First off, Westpac is writing thousands fewer mortgages, and they're predicting that investor home loans will more than halve over the next year. That's huge. Personally, I think this isn't just about Westpac, it's a canary in the coal mine for the broader housing market. What makes this really interesting is the timing. Since the changes to capital gains taxes and negative gearing were announced in May, Westpac has seen a 20% drop in average monthly mortgage applications. That's not just a blip, that's a pattern. And it's not just investors pulling back, owner-occupier loans are slowing down too. From my perspective, this isn't just about tax changes, it's about a bigger shift in how Aussies are thinking about property. Now, here's where it gets even more intriguing. Westpac's CEO, Anthony Miller, pointed out that first-home buyers aren't exactly stepping in to fill the gap left by investors. You'd think with investors backing off, first-timers would be swooping in, right? But no. And that's a detail I find fascinating. What this really suggests is that there's a broader hesitancy in the market. Maybe it's the cost of living pressures, maybe it's rising interest rates, or maybe it's just a sense that the market's peaked. One thing that immediately stands out is how this ties into the bigger trend of housing affordability. Even with an undersupply of housing and population growth, these factors aren't enough to offset the chill in the market. Another thing that caught my eye is the spike in interest-only loans. They've jumped from around 12 to 13% to nearly 22% of Westpac's home loan book. What many people don't realize is that interest-only loans are often seen as a way to manage cash flow, especially when borrowers are feeling the pinch. But here's the kicker. If more people are opting for interest-only, it could mean they're less confident about their ability to pay down the principal. That's a red flag, in my opinion. It raises a deeper question. Are we seeing the early signs of financial strain among homeowners? And then there's the delinquency data. The number of homeowners 30 days behind on their mortgage payments has ticked up, while 90-plus day delinquencies are flat. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but if you take a step back and think about it, it could be the start of a trend. If more people are falling behind on payments, even marginally, it could signal broader economic pressures. Personally, I think this is something to watch closely. It's not just about Westpac, it's about what this could mean for the entire housing market and, by extension, the economy. So, what's the bigger picture here? In my opinion, this isn't just about a bank writing fewer mortgages. It's about a shift in how Aussies are approaching property ownership. The days of easy gains in the housing market might be behind us, and that's forcing everyone, from investors to first-home buyers, to rethink their strategies. What makes this really interesting is how it connects to global trends. We're seeing similar cool-offs in other markets, from Canada to the UK, where rising interest rates and economic uncertainty are changing the game. Australia isn't an outlier, it's part of a global story. As we wrap this up, I'm left with one big question. Is this the start of a new era in the housing market, or just a temporary blip? Personally, I think it's too early to call, but one thing's for sure, the rules of the game are changing. Whether you're a homeowner, an investor, or just someone watching from the sidelines, this is a trend worth keeping an eye on. So, what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for Australia's property boom, or just a pause before the next wave? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear your take.